Hello and welcome to Pension Awareness Week. I'm John Sherlock from MyCSP and I'll be your host for today's webinar. Joining me today we have Catherine Murray, Training and Engagement Manager from MyCSP, and from the Cabinet Office we have Chris Banks, Remedy Communications and Engagement Support, and Ian Corner, Head of Policy Legislation for the 2015 Remedy Programme. As you know, today's session is all about the 2015 Remedy, and it's packed full of helpful information for anyone whose situation may be affected by the changes. Amongst other things, we'll be looking at what to do if you're planning to retire and what will happen when you retire. We'll also be looking at the Alpha scheme and how your benefits build up in Alpha. You may notice that we have changed the format of today's session. So instead of putting specific questions to the panel, you'll be asked to vote on a range of topics that you'd like our panel to discuss. We've done this based on feedback from attendees of previous sessions, and it means that our panel will be able to answer the most frequently asked questions on the most popular topics. Okay, so without further ado, we're now going to jump straight into today's session. And to begin with, we need you to tell us which topics you'd like our panel of experts to discuss. To do that, simply choose two topics from the list appearing on screen now. That survey will be live for the next few minutes, so please cast your vote. Whilst you're doing that, I'd just like to take the time to remind you to give us your feedback on today's event. You can do that by completing the short survey that we will email to you later on today. Your feedback really is important as it helps us to improve and tailor these events to you, so please do take the time to complete it. And finally, I'd just like to say that if you do have a specific question or problem with your pension that isn't covered in today's session, I would urge you to consider taking part in our Pensionpower training. Pensionpower is a 1-hour webinar delivered by pensions experts. It's completely free and it is designed to help you get to grips with your pension. If you'd like to know more about Pensionpower, then please stick around until the end of today's session. Okay, so without further delay, I'm now going to hand over to our first speaker, Mr. Ian Corner, who will be providing us with a brief introduction to the 2015 Remedy. Over to you, Ian.
Thank you, John. So I'm Ian Corner, as just mentioned, and my team in the Cabinet Office oversees the policy and legislative side of the Remedy. I'm going to talk a bit about the behind-the-scenes work that's going on for us to get Remedy ready. So one of the most frequent questions we get is why we can't give people their choice now or provide detailed calculations showing exactly what the Remedy means for you. The simple answer to that is there is a lot to do before we can get to that position. There's over 400,000 members or beneficiaries of members impacted, and we need to build new systems, create new regulations in order to give you your choice or your illustration. So the way we're going to do this, and this will be your choice for whether you want Alpha or your legacy scheme, so schemes such as classical premium, we've had to go back and re-examine all the various areas like tax, transfers, added pension, EPA, to understand how these will change for members when you get your choice. We also need to know how these will work so we can build a calculator to allow us to actually calculate what your choices are. One of the other challenges we have is around legislation. So as our pension scheme is based on legislation, so things like the rules governing added pension, we need to change our existing regulations. So this will be done via a public consultation launching early next year, so look out for that. We've also been running a number of meetings with various unions on the policy development, and we'll be meeting with them to work through the consultation in more detail when it goes live. There's also been a lot of work going on in the background on the communications and tools side. We know that for many people, pensions can be complex, and the Remedy especially so. We want to make sure that when it comes to making your choice or giving you your illustrations, things make as much sense as possible. That's why we've got a section today that focuses on these existing or upcoming tools and how they can help you. I'll now hand back to John.
Thanks, Ian. That was really helpful and a perfect introduction to today's topic. Before I hand over to our next speaker, Catherine Murray, who will be doing a deeper dive on some of the issues surrounding Remedy, we're now going to launch our second poll of the day. The question we'd like you to answer is, on a scale of 1 to 5, how would you rate your knowledge of the 2015 Remedy? So that's on a scale of 1 to 5, how would you rate your knowledge of the 2015 Remedy? That question is going to be on your screen for the next few minutes, so please do let us know your answer to that one. Okay, I'm now going to hand over to my colleague Catherine Murray, who for the next presentation, and Catherine will be looking at some of the hot topics surrounding remedy and providing answers to those frequently asked questions. Over to you, Catherine.
Thank you, John, and afternoon, everybody. I'm just going to share my screen with you and look at these remedy hot topics for you. So my team and I are presenting things like pension power sessions and speaking to members like you every single day. So we're getting a lot of questions, obviously, on the 2015 remedy. So we've shaped this using what those key questions are, and hopefully that means the information in this is really useful and the things that you're looking to find out. So I'm going to look at what the 2015 remedy actually is, just to make sure everyone understands what it is when we're talking about the 2015 remedy and how that's impacting everybody. We'll talk about the Alpha scheme. So as part of the 2015 remedy, all members have now moved into Alpha. So we'll discuss how Alpha works and what the benefits look like when you come to retire in Alpha. We'll talk about the things that you need to know if you're planning to retire in the not too distant future. How does that link up with the remedy, and what key things do you need to know there? We then put together some example scenarios. So like Ian mentioned, lots of people are interested in finding out which choice they should make and what that's going to look like. So we've put some scenarios together to give you a bit of a look at how that's going to work in the future. And then we'll also touch on how you can stay up to date and find out more about the 2015 remedy as we go through as well. So starting us off, what is the 2015 remedy? So in 2015, the government introduced reforms to public service pensions. So in the civil service, we introduced Alpha, and there were similar changes in all of the other public sector schemes as well. So there was this move away from final salary schemes with benefits payable at age 60 to career average schemes, benefits payable at your state pension age. In 2018, the Court of Appeal found that some of the rules put in place in 2015, which protected older workers, allowing them to stay in their original scheme, were discriminatory on grounds of age. So the fact that members were treated differently based upon their age was found to be discriminatory. So we can't treat members different based on characteristics such as their age. Therefore, that means then that we need to address that discrimination that's been identified through the courts to make sure that the scheme is fair to all members and everyone has the same choices. And that, in effect, is why we have the 2015 remedy. So just to be clear, to be impacted by the 2015 remedy, there are two key dates when you needed to be a member of the Civil Service Pension Scheme: the 31st of March 2012 and the 1st of April 2015. If you remember or eligible to be a member of the scheme on those two key dates, then you are impacted by the 2015 remedy. So what does that actually mean in practice? So two key parts to the 2015 remedy. The first one is that from the 1st of April 2022, all of the older pension schemes pre-Alpha have all closed to future accrual. So the vast majority of members had already moved into Alpha on the 1st of April 2022, but those who hadn't moved into Alpha on that date, and membership of all of the older schemes closed on the 31st of March this year. So that effectively ended the discrimination that had been identified. All members had the same choices for scheme from the 1st of April this year. The second part of addressing the discrimination is that all eligible members, so again, those in the scheme on those two key dates, 31st of March 2012, the 1st of April 2015, all of those members are going to be given a choice for their pension benefits accrued during the remedy period. And the remedy period's from the 1st of April 2015 to the 31st of March 22, and it's essentially the period of time when members were treated differently. When a member who's impacted comes to retire, they'll be given the choice to say, would you like the 7 years worth of pension benefits accrued in that time frame to be in Alpha? Or would you like them in the scheme you were a member of previously, your legacy scheme? And that's called the Deferred Choice Underpin, or DCU for short. So we're not asking you to make that choice now. You'll make that choice when you claim your pension benefits, as it's only then that you'll know for certain which of the choices is going to be the best one for you and give you the highest level of benefits in retirement. So now we're all members of Alpha. So what does the Alpha scheme give you? So Alpha is a defined benefit pension scheme, like the schemes that it replaced. And a defined benefit scheme, that means there's a predetermined formula that we use to calculate the pension benefits that you're going to be due at retirement. So there's no investment risk or anything like that when it comes to Alpha. There's a predetermined formula that we use to calculate your pension benefits for retirement. And Alpha is an example of a career average pension scheme, where you accrue a proportion of your earnings each year as an annual pension. So that annual pension builds up. We do also have the option upon retirement to give up some of that pension in order to take tax-free lump sum at retirement if you would like to. Alpha provides death benefits to a member's family, so you can nominate any individual or group of individuals to receive a lump sum in the event of your death. And there are also continuing pensions for adult and child dependents on the death of a member. Alpha provides ill health retirement benefits. So should a member fall into ill health during their period of employment, there is the potential for an enhanced pension to be payable to them immediately, regardless of their age, subject to an assessment from the scheme's medical advisor. And the employer contribution towards Alpha, somewhere between 26.6 and 30.3% of your earnings. So very generous rates of employer contributions in Alpha. Your employer pays 4 or 5 times more on average than you do as the contribution towards your pension. So it's a really good benefit to have. So how does the pension accrue in Alpha? So you accrue 2.32% of your earnings each year as an annual pension in Alpha. So to be clear, we don't look at your salary before you joined Alpha. Sometimes the term career average confuses people, and I think it's going to look back over their whole career. It's just from the point at which you joined the Alpha scheme. So in your first year as a member of Alpha, you accrue 2.32%, which is the predetermined formula of your earnings as annual pension. So we work out how much that value is, and we carry it forward into year 2. And then immediately we adjust the value in line with inflation. So inflation gets applied every year to all of the benefits that you've built up so far. You'll go on then to accrue 2.32% of your earnings in your second year as well. We then add those 3 values together, carry them forward into year 3, and it's that total value that gets adjusted with inflation. So the inflation is applied to all of the benefits that you've built up so far, including last year's inflation adjustment. And that will just continue to stack up and grow as long as you remain an active member paying into the Alpha scheme. We've put together an example with some numbers attached to it next. So here we've made an assumption that this member with 4 years in Alpha has pensionable earnings of £26,000, and they've remained that way throughout this 4-year period. And we've also assumed that each year the inflation adjustment is 3.1%. Obviously, rates of inflation are variable. So in the member's first year in Alpha, earning £26,000, we take 2.32% of that earnings figure, and that gives them a pension of £603.20. So that figure is carried forward into year 2 and then immediately adjusted with that 3.1% inflation. So 3.1% of £603.20 adds another £18.70 to the member's pension. And then in their second year, they're still earning £26,000. So adds on another £603.20. We then add each of those 3 figures together and carry them forward into year 3, giving a figure of £1,225.10. And then that's the figure that is adjusted with the 3.1% inflation. So that inflation is applied to everything built up so far. So this time adds £37.97, accruing another £603.20 in the third year. Total figure being carried forward into year 4. So they have £1,866.27. And this time, 3.1% inflation adds £57.85. So you can see how as your pension grows, obviously the inflation is being applied to a larger amount and topping your pension benefits up by a larger amount year on year. So after 4 years in Alpha, this member has a pension payable at retirement of £2,527.32. So the benefits that you accrue in Alpha, they're payable to you from your state pension age. So that 2527 pension figure is the pension that member would receive after 4 years in Alpha, assuming they retired at their state pension age. There is the option, if you would like it in Alpha, to claim your pension benefits earlier, if you would like to, currently any time from the age of 55 onwards, but a reduction does get applied for each year earlier you decide to claim your pension. Reduction is approximately 4% for each year early you decide to claim your Alpha benefits. And you'll also have that option at retirement to give up some of that pension to take tax-free lump sum at point of retirement. So that option's always available to members in Alpha. So we have lots of us now who are dual members. At retirement, you'll have pension benefits from Alpha and pension benefits from your legacy scheme as well. So there are different options that are available to you at retirement. For example, if you want to, you can just claim your pension benefits from one scheme. If you say, for example, had pension benefits in one of the final salary schemes, which gives you a pension payable at age 60 without any reduction, you might decide to retire at age 60 and claim those final salary benefits. And you might at that point say, I'm just going to leave my Alpha benefits. I'll come back and claim them at state pension age, or maybe I'll claim them 2 or 3 years down the line when I've got a little bit older. So the reduction that gets applied will be slightly less. So you can take your pension benefits separately if you want to, or you can take them all at the same time. It's entirely up to you, and you'll be given that choice to make at point of retirement. You've also got the option to make different lump sum choices for each scheme. So you might, for example, say, I'm going to maximize the lump sum that's payable to me from my Alpha pension, but with my premium scheme, I'm not going to take any lump sum at all, or vice versa. So you can do different things with each of the schemes if you take them together or if you take them separately. The other important thing to note is the final salary link. So if you have moved into Alpha from one of the final salary schemes, it's not the salary you were in receipt of at the point at which you moved into Alpha, which goes into that final salary calculation. It's your best final salary when you actually leave service. So if you need to work for another 10 years before you reach your chosen retirement age, and you get promoted several times between now and then it would be that future increased final salary that goes into the calculation of those final salary benefits. So there's still the potential for that pension to grow while your Alpha benefits are growing at the same time as well. So what do you need to think about if you're planning to retire in the not too distant future? So as Ian mentioned earlier, the remedy is all due to be implemented once all of the changes have been sort of passed through legislation and all those kind of things in October 2023. So that means if you retire before October 2023, your benefits are going to be processed as they stand now, and then you'll be given a retrospective choice once the remedy has been fully implemented, and that's expected to take place between October 2023 and March 25. That's when we'll be revisiting cases and giving members that choice for their pension benefits. If you plan to retire from October 2023 onwards, then you'll be given the choice at the time of retirement automatically as part of your retirement process. So if you're retiring before October 2023, then your pension benefits will be processed as they stand today. So that means if you moved into Alpha on the 1st of April 2015, then you'll have your legacy benefits until the end of March 2015 and Alpha benefits from April 2015 onwards. And it'll be processed on that basis, but then revisited further down the line. If you moved into Alpha on the 1st of April this year, then you'll have Alpha benefits from April 2022 onwards, but your previous benefits until the end of March 22 will be in your legacy scheme. And again, they'll be revisited later and given that alternative choice. So after October 2023, you'll be given the option to have your benefits for the remedy period in that alternative scheme. And we'll give you the figures. You can see what that looks like. So you'll be able to make an informed decision about which of the options is going to be the most beneficial to you. And that might mean that you receive additional lump sum. You might receive arrears of pension if higher pension benefits would have been payable under the alternative scheme. If you're retiring after October 2023, then you'll be given the choice automatically as part of the retirement process. And again, you'll be provided with the figures so you can make an informed choice. So it should be clear to you which of the options is going to be the most beneficial. And once the choice is made, you're unable to change it. So obviously it's something that you give a lot of thought to, and you'll be given a good length of time to make your choices and think about it. An expectation is from 2024 onwards, if you're still in service at that point and haven't yet claimed your pension benefits, then each year your annual benefit statement will show both sets of figures for the remedy period. So that means that you should, by the time you get to retirement, have a good idea of which of the choices will be the most beneficial for you. And we've had lots of questions lately about partial retirement and how does that differ? But essentially, it's going to work in just the same way. So if you've already partially retired since 2015 or plan on doing so before October next year, then again, you'll get a retrospective choice to make that decision once the remedy's been fully implemented and you'd receive any arrears of pension that might be due. If you're partially retiring from October 2023 onwards, you'll be given the choice automatically as part of the retirement process. So it's going to work just the same for members taking partial retirement as those fully retiring as well. So next, we've put together some example scenarios. So lots of members are saying, what will the benefits look like for the remedy period and which choice is going to be the best one for me? And lots of people also are making assumptions around that. They think they know already which choice is going to be the best one for them. And they might be right. But let's have a look at these example scenarios and see whether it's what you expect or maybe a little bit different. So what we've done, we've looked at the 7-year remedy period from the 1st of April 2015 to the 31st of March 22. We've assumed in each of these scenarios that the member was working full-time, that they moved into Alpha on the 1st of April 2015, and their state pension age is 67. So in our first scenario, we have a member who was in the classic pension scheme until the 31st of March 2015. They then joined Alpha, and they've decided they're going to retire and claim all of their pension benefits at the age of 60. And they have pensionable earnings of £25,000. So to calculate those 7 years worth of pension benefits in the classic scheme, that would give them a pension at age 60 of £2,187.50, and classic pays you a standard lump sum of 3 times your pension. So a pension from classic of £6,562.50. That same period of time in Alpha, so Alpha would accrue them a pension of £4,250.36, but that's the pension they would receive payable from age 67. So we've applied the reduction for taking that pension early at age 60, and that gives a pension figure of £2,920. So what we've gone on to do then is assume an equal amount of sum to the standard lump sum the classic member receives. So they're receiving a lump sum at retirement of £6,562. And that then leaves them with an Alpha pension of £2,373.13. So even equalising the lump sum benefits across the schemes, taking the Alpha pension early at age 60 in that circumstance gives a higher pension than had the member remained in the classic scheme. So that's example number 1. Example 2, we have a premium member. Member was in premium until the 31st of March 2015, then joined Alpha. And this member's decided to retire early and claim all of their pension benefits at age 57. And their pensionable earnings are £30,000. So claiming the premium pension benefits for those 7 years early at age 57 gives a pension of £3,038 per year. The pension for the Alpha member with the reduction applied is £3,050.06. So again, very similar between the two schemes, but the pension just ever so slightly higher from Alpha than it is from Premium, claiming the pension benefits at age 57. And then our third example, another Premium member who joined Alpha in April 2015, this time deciding to retire at the age of 62 and claim all their pension benefits at that age with earnings of £25,000. The premium pension calculated payable at age 62 is £2,916.66. The Alpha pension, £4,250.36, but with the reduction applied for early payment at age 62, gives a figure of £3,230.27. So in each of those three scenarios we've looked at, actually when looking at the pension benefits claimed at the same age, Alpha has given a slightly higher pension figure in each of those scenarios. That's not going to be the case in every circumstance, and our calculations have been simplified. So we've assumed that the members' earnings has remained the same throughout the period. We also haven't applied any rates of inflation. So whether Alpha or your previous scheme is going to be the best one is going to vary significantly from individual to individual. I think there's a lot of assumptions out there that the legacy schemes are always going to be the best ones. And obviously, as you can see in these calculations, that's just not always the case. The schemes are quite similar when you look at the benefits being paid and claimed from the same age. So hopefully that's quite interesting just to see how the schemes do compare. So how can you stay up to date on the 2015 remedy? Chris will talk about this in more detail in his section shortly, but do refer to the dedicated remedy pages on the Civil Service Pension Scheme website, including the remedy chatbot, which Chris will give you a demo of. You can sign up for our remedy newsletter, attend a pensionpower session, which John mentioned earlier. We run those every single day. We've had lots of bookings from members who attended the earlier session today, so good idea to get yourself booked on one of those to find out more about your pension when you can. And watch out for future live at lunch events. Assuming the feedback's good from today, hopefully we'll be back with another series of these at some point in the future to give you more information as the whole scenario around the 2015 remedy develops, and we can share more with you. So that's it from me for now. I'll hand back to John.
Thanks, Catherine. Thanks, Catherine. That was very helpful, and I'm sure our audience found that helpful too. I think those retirement examples and definition of the career average scheme and how Alpha builds up was incredibly useful. Okay, so now it's time to have a look at the results of our second poll, which was on a scale of 1 to 5, how would you rate your knowledge of the 2015 remedy? So the results are in, and I can see that 37% of the audience rated their knowledge as either fair, good, or excellent, which is really positive. However, 63% of you rated your understanding as either poor or very poor. So obviously not as good as we would have hoped, but hopefully today's session will help to improve those members' understanding of the 2015 remedy. So thank you to everyone who voted and answered that question. Moving on, we're now going to go to Chris Banks, Remedy Communications and Engagement Support, and Chris is going to talk to us about some of the important remedy timelines and the tools available to support members affected by remedy. So over to you, Chris.
Thanks, John. Hi, everybody. As he says, my name is Chris Banks, and I'm from the Comms and Engagement part of the 2015 Remedy Programme. So I'm going to share some slides with you today. So hopefully you can see those. Okay, great stuff. Right then, so we are going to have a look at the remedy tools and timelines that are going to help you support you and also to help you know what's coming your way in the future. So members, of course, I guess want to know if they're affected. This is often the first question is will I be affected by remedy? But of course, once you've established that, the next question usually comes is, well, how will I be affected? So many of you here today will have attended an event like this before and may have asked questions about how remedy will affect you. So the questions that we tend to get asked are often things like this: how do I stay updated? How do I know what's best for me? How does this affect me personally? And how do I work out whether it's more beneficial for me to choose Classic or Alpha for the remedy period? So today we're going to go through some various bits that will hopefully answer some of those questions, or at least help you understand how you'll get the answers to those questions and when. So what's out there? What's out there to help support your understanding of the 2015 remedy? So there's a fair few things. There have been 3 remedy-specific videos created so far with nearly 8,000 YouTube views, and there may be more in future. So if you haven't had a look already, please do. They're on the website and actually very good. There are links to all the videos in the Pension Awareness Week web pages. We've got some newsletters. There've been 5 so far, and we'll have a look at sort of what's in them and how to get to them in a little while. The Am I Affected tool, again, we'll have a little chat about that, but if you're not aware of it, we'll show you how to find it, and again, recommend that you have a look. Something fairly new is the digital assistant or chatbot, which Catherine mentioned just a little while ago, and we're going to give a demo of that in this presentation today. And as well as that, we'll have events like Live at Lunch and of course the Civil Service Pensions webpage themselves, which are constantly evolving with news and updates. And this really should be everybody's first port of call. If you've got any remedy queries, head for that website, for those web pages, and start looking there. So I mentioned the newsletter, and here's a few pictures of the first 4. We're going to come to the latest issue in a moment, but I just want to kind of, I guess, give a highlights package of what's been out there for you. So if you haven't come across these newsletters, please go and have a look, because they're on the website too. You can find the links on the Pension Awareness Week web pages, and these really are a great way to find out more about remedy. So for example, in issue 1, there was a whole background to the 2015 remedy, why it happened, why it came about. Some key dates and actions to take, and you can learn more about the Alpha scheme. And in the second issue, we had information about the public consultation, the closing of the legacy schemes and moving all members to Alpha, and also information about the Am I Affected tool and ill health retirement. Moving on to issue 3, we had something about the remedy benefits illustrator, your feedback and FAQs, and in issue 4, information about the self-help tool updates, a jargon buster to help people understand what it all means, and also information about Civil Service Live. So loads of stuff in there, loads of really interesting things about remedy. So coming to newsletter number 5, you can see it looks a little bit different, and in fact, it starts with a video, and this is Karen Jordan in the pitch there. She's the head of Pensionschemes, and this video has actually received nearly 10,000 views so far. And it's all being received very well. Now, this new digital letter is an improved digital format, which will make it easier for tablet and mobile phone users to access it. It's also more interactive, and as well as the video, has other things you can get involved with, and we'll come to that a little bit later on. Now, as this is the 2015 Remedy Programme's first digital newsletter, we would love to know what you think of it. So please take the opportunity to share your thoughts using the feedback section of the newsletter itself. We're also going to have a look at annual benefit statements and the chatbot tool within its pages as well. So moving on to the Am I Affected tool. Now, as you can see there, around 60,000 members have already used this tool, and it's been well used with over 85,000 views. And well received too, with users giving it a satisfaction rate of over 83% and an ease of use rate of over 93%. So if you haven't already done so and you're currently unsure whether remedy affects you personally, then please do check out the Am I Affected tool at your next convenience. Now, just to give you an idea what it looks like, the bottom part of the screen here is what will pop up on your screen. And it just says, hi there, I can help you understand if you're affected by 2015 remedy McCloud. Then it gives you a couple of options you can select. For example, what is 2015 remedy, or okay, let's do this, to just get straight into the sort of the nitty-gritty, if you like. So again, if you haven't tried this out yet, I really do recommend it, and it will help answer some of your questions. Now, moving on from that though, a newer tool is this digital assistant or chatbot, as it's generally known. Now, this is an automated tool to help answer your remedy frequently asked questions. And what we've done is we've actually fed it over 1,000 questions that we received from members like yourselves at different events prior to this one. And it's still learning, and it learns from all of those questions. And every time you ask it a question, it learns a little bit more, and its answers get cleverer and cleverer as it goes along. And you can see on the right-hand side of the screen here what this chatbot will look like. And I'm going to show you a demo of this quite soon. But there is more information about the tool itself in the newsletter. And again, you can also access it from the Remedy Hub page, as we're going to demonstrate for you now. Now you'll notice I'm going to slow down the pace of this video, and that's only because the chatbot tends to answer quicker than I can talk. So apologies for that, but that's why I'm slowing it down. So here we go then. On any given page that you go into in the web pages, you'll see this yellow box below saying need remedy help ? If you click on that, then it'll take you into the chatbot itself. So we'll click on it. After only a moment or two, the chatbot's loaded and ready for your questions. And as you can see, it explains a little bit about itself and how best to use it. So it says there, ask me something. I deal best with short, concise questions, or use my buttons below. So if any of those buttons are just what you're wanting to know about, then just go ahead and click. However, if you've got something that you'd like to ask and you don't think that really covers it, then all you need to do is type a message in the field there. So I'm going to do just that. So can I take a lump sum in alpha? And then you just select the yellow arrow to the side, load your question in, and in very quick time, back comes the chatbot with a response. It says their lump sum isn't automatically paid in alpha, but you can choose to give up some of your pension in exchange for a tax-free lump sum if you wish. It offers to take you to more details if you want to, or you could just start over if you've got a completely separate question that you want to go through, or if not, and you've had enough, and that's all you need to do, then there's that X in the bottom, right at the bottom of the corner of the screen there, and that will just take you back out to where you were before. So as you can see, quite easy to use, and hopefully, as many people have done already, it will help you understand how you're affected as well. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to launch another poll, and it's sort of now we've had a look at what's out there, which for some of you will have been a reminder. We'd also like to know if you've used any of the following things to help you better understand Remedy. So what should be coming up on your screen is a choice of Remedy videos, newsletters, the Am I Affected tool, web pages, FAQs, the chatbot I've just shown you, and events like Live at Lunch. And what we'd like you to do is select all that apply. So if you've used any of these things to understand more, please tick all of the ones you've used, not just your favorite or the one that you think is the best. Okay, so while that's running, we'll move on. So timelines and new tools. So this is more of a sort of the new tools in development and some information to help you understand when things will happen. In January, we successfully launched the Am I Affected tool. This is to help members understand if they're impacted by the remedy or not. And then in March, legacy schemes were closed, and in April, all members moved in alpha. And this is the thing that removed the discrimination that Catherine described earlier by moving all members in alpha regardless of their age. And alpha is now the only defined benefit pension scheme available for civil service employees. Also, as mentioned earlier, we launched the digital chatbot assistant in September. And from October onwards, we'll have a variety of tools in development. The first of which listed there is the Remedy Benefits Illustrator, which is being piloted at the moment with some scheme members who plan to fully retire before October 2023. And there'll be more pilots, and each time we'll learn more, and it'll all inform how to make that Benefits Illustrator the best that it can be. We're going to have more newsletters coming out and to keep you updated with changes as they happen. And then something called remediable service statements. Now, these are statements that are being designed and which will be tailored to a member's individual circumstances. And this will let you know a lot of information about how your pension looks in terms of the legacy scheme that you were in, or alpha, and will help you make your choice. And we'll have a little bit more a look at these in more detail shortly. Going forward to October 2023, well, it's an exciting time in October 2023 for those of us in Remedy workspace. Remedy legislation will be in place, which will allow the Remedy choice process to occur for those in receipt of pension, and also for those looking to retire in the future. Now, this means for those who have retired before October 2023, including those who partially retired, for a period of 18 months from then on, they'll be given a choice of pension benefits. So you have time to really absorb what it's telling you before you make your choice. And then moving on to August 2024, for active members, annual benefit statements will show pension benefits under both the legacy and alpha schemes. And this will be for information purposes only. It will help members to stay up to date with their pension benefits. So move on now to tools and development. Now, I've mentioned the benefits illustrator, and this is a tool that will give affected members an indication of what their remedy choices are likely to look like financially by using basic facts and figures that, well, we provide ourselves when we go in and try it out. Now, this is currently in the beta test phase, and we are building on feedback all the time from members to make those improvements I mentioned earlier. The digital newsletters, again, will continue to bring you news of developments as they happen. Now, in this new improved digital format you can view on your tablet or your phone. Web pages and FAQs will be updated with the new content as things change. And these are really a great first port of call for any remedy questions that you might have. And then finally, the remediable, I was going to get it right every time. The remediable service statements are being designed that will give members personalized information about their remedy choices. And I'll speak more about this in the next slide. And then finally, the modeler. Now, this modeler will replace the currently available ABS modeler, and this will give you the remedy options built in to give you a more accurate picture of your predicted pension benefits. Okay, so these are all the things that are coming up in the future. So I mentioned this thing, the remediable service statement. And the RSS is a personal statement that will provide you with sufficient information to choose between your legacy scheme or alpha scheme for the remedy period. And it'll be tailored to your membership status. So this is the choice that Catherine was talking about earlier. Now, for example, your membership status is either active, deferred, or you're retired or partially retired. And what this means is this RSS, this statement coming to you, is going to give you the information that you need to make that choice we've talked about. So active members will receive an annual benefit statement, an ABS version of the RSS, and this will come annually from August 2024. This will allow you to keep keep track of your pension options. But if you're still an active member, this is just for information at that stage, because you don't make your decision until you're ready for retirement. Okay, so it'll tell you what you need to know, but don't think that you then have to suddenly jump and make a decision. That's for later. The same is true for deferred members. Any deferred members out there, you'll get a deferred RSS when you leave the scheme from August 2024 onwards, and you can request an updated version on an annual basis every year. And again, though, this is just for information purposes at this stage, because you will also make your decision later at the point of retirement. This third group, though, of retired or partially retired members, you'll get an immediate choice RSS from October 2023 onwards. And then that's when you get that 18-month window, which will be for you to take action to make your choice between your legacy scheme or your alpha scheme. So to recap, the RSS, this remediable service statement, is what will show you your pension benefit choices for the remedy period, and that again is April 2015 to March 22. And then you will have the information that you need to make an informed choice of which one is best for you. So stay updated, it says here, and I mentioned earlier that we welcome your feedback on the newsletter, and in that new digital format, you can take a quick survey in newsletter 5 to let us know what you think. There are also features, though, called Stay Updated and another one called Get Involved. Now, in Stay Updated, you can choose, if you wish, to receive information, for example, future newsletters, remedy updates, events you can attend, and these can all be sent direct to your email address, and you can choose which of those, if any, you want to find out about. And there is another section a little bit further down called Get Involved, and this is where we're asking if members, yourselves, would be interested in helping us to shape our future support tools or communications to members while they're actually still in development, so you can help us shape those things. And if you're interested in either or both of those, then please let us know on that Stay Updated or Get Involved page of newsletter 5. And if you do decide to get involved, but then change your mind a little bit later on, don't worry, you can opt out at any point in the future. And don't forget, you can find newsletter 5, a link to it on the Pension Awareness Week web pages. So, spread the word. Might seem a strange thing to say, but we'd really appreciate you all helping us to spread the word. Now, you might remember the poll that was on just before my presentation started, where 63% rated your knowledge or as poor or very poor about the 2015 remedy. So obviously, we're trying to improve that, and we're trying to do many events like this, and we've got communications going out in the newsletters, all this sort of thing. But sometimes it's word of mouth that helps. So would like you to help as well and think about how you get the message out to more people. So for example, do you have any friends that are retired colleagues? If so, chat to them about it, mention it to them. Or are there people back in your office? So when you finish this session and you go back, could you mention it to them too? So please tell them and anyone else that you think of, and then ask them to keep telling people they know too. Because the more people they know, the more that will have the information they need to be able to make their choice when the time comes. So after today's session, why not take a minute, firstly, just to check if you are affected using the Am I Affected tool. Then visit the 2015 Remedy webpage to see all of the tools available. And then remember to spread the word so that we're all working together to get the information out to as many people as we possibly can, so that people understand what Remedy is and how they may be affected. So that's just about the end of my presentation. We're going to come back to the poll that we'll launch just as soon as this is done. But prior to that, I just want to say thank you very much for your attention and for taking part in the polls. And I hope you found this session interesting and informative. Okay, so before we go back to John, let's see if we can see what the results are. So the question was, you may remember, have you used any of the following to help you better understand Remedy? And we have 20% said they've used the Am I Affected tool. That's great. 19% are reading the newsletters, and 18% have been looking at the Remedy web pages. Well, another 17% attending the live lunch events, and then it goes down to 15, visiting the FAQs, 8 for the videos, and then down to 2 for the digital assistant or the chatbot. Now that's going to be fairly, well, possibly because it's a fairly new tool, I should say. So again, if you haven't used this yourself, please do give it a go. And remember to share its existence with as many people as you possibly can, because again, the more people who have a look, the more will feel more comfortable and better informed about their choice. So that's it for me. Thanks, folks, and I'll now hand you back to John.
Thank you very much, Chris. Thank you. That's great. It's great to hear about the variety of tools there that are available for anyone affected by Remedy. It's also good to see the polls indicating that a lot of you are already using a lot of those tools, which is great. Okay, so we're now going to go to the polls for the final time today. And the question we'd like you to answer is, which describes you best? And that poll is going to be on screen for the next few minutes. So and we'll look at your responses to that one a little bit later on. Okay, we've got about 10 minutes left. So we're going to look now at the 2 topics that you most voted for our panel to discuss, which are retirement and remedy, and payment and compensation. So they are the 2 topics we're going to cover now. We're going to go to our panel and ask Ian the first question. So Ian, I'm going to come to you on this one, and it is, how would I be affected by the 2015 remedy if I plan to retire early or partially retire? Over to you, Ian.
Thanks, John. So if you plan to retire early or partially retire, you're affected in the same way as if you're just retiring at your normal pension age or you're retiring fully. So the way the remedy works, as a reminder, is that for any members who are affected by it, so for those who've got service between 31st of March 2012 and 1st of April 2015, you will get your choice if you are retiring, whether that's partially retiring or early retiring, after 1st of October 2023. If you do take partial retirement or early retirement before this date, we will write to you at a later date with your choice. So again, it's pretty much the same as if you were fully retiring, so there's no real difference. Thanks, John.
That's great. Thanks, Ian. Okay, so the next question in the retirement remedy topic is, I plan to retire before October 2023. Do I need to do anything? Catherine.
Thanks, John. So you do need to do something, but it's not really any different than if you were just retiring at any other time. So you'll need to give the required notice to your employer of your intention to retire, which is currently, according to my CSP in the scheme anyway, 4 months notice. It could be that your employer asks for slightly longer. So make sure you check your department's internal policy to make sure you're giving the required notice period. That's all you would need to do. Everything else with regards to the remedy will be processed at the appropriate time when everything's in place to do that. So outside of your standard retirement notice, there's nothing additional you need to do at this stage. Thanks, John.
Thanks, Catherine. It's really helpful. The next question is, do I now have to wait until state pension age to access any of my pension benefits? Chris.
Hi, John. No, you don't. You don't have to wait until state pension age. The normal pension age for Alpha is your state pension age, and this is the age at which you can get all of your benefits unreduced. So, but no, you can still take early retirement if you want to. The minimum retirement age in Alpha is 55, and taking early retirement would obviously mean that some reductions were made to your pension figures, as it would be likely that because you were retiring earlier, you'd get paid your pension longer. But absolutely, you can still retire early in Alpha.
Thanks, Chris. Okay, so we're going to move and have a little look at the questions in the payments and compensation category. And the first one is, when is this likely to affect me? So when is this likely to affect me? Catherine, can you answer that one?
Yeah, no problem. So as we've already discussed, if you're going to be impacted by the 2015 remedy, then that's already been established because it's all related to whether you were in service or in the scheme on those two key dates, 31st of March 2012, 1st of April 2015. So you're already impacted. There's nothing that you really need to do at this stage to keep yourself, well, the only thing you really need to do is keep yourself up to date with what's going on as the remedy situation sort of moves and changes. We know what's going to happen, but at the moment, Ian and his team are just working through all of the finer details. So as soon as information can be shared, it's being shared on the scheme website. So if you just continue as things are, but keep yourself up to date using the tools that we've talked about today, that's all we really need to do at this stage. Thanks, John.
Thank you, Catherine. The next question is, will I be contributing more than I was in my last scheme? Ian, can I come to you on that one, please?
Yes, this is a common question we get around contributions in terms of a lot of people think they've gone up because we introduced Alpha. So what actually happens around 10 years ago, way before the introduction of Alpha, the schemes gradually started to increase the contribution rates. So by the time Alpha came in on 1st of April 2015, the contribution rates were the same across all schemes. So whether you were in Alpha, Classic, Premium, whatever, you paid the same contribution rate. So for anybody who has been moved previously from one of the legacy schemes to Alpha, you're continuing to pay the same contributions.
Thanks, Ian. That's really helpful. Thank you. I think we've got time for a few more questions. So the next one is, what happened to the pension I've built up in my old scheme? Catherine.
So the pension that you've built up in your old scheme, you still have that in exactly the same way. So all of the benefits you'd accrued until the point at which you moved across to Alpha, you still have access to all of those benefits. And that was a pension, if that was a pension from one of the final salary schemes, for example, Classic, Classic Plus or Premium, then all of those pension benefits remain payable to you without reduction from the age of 60. But you can take them earlier than that if you want to. You can take them later than that if you want to. So nothing has happened in respect of you still have access to those pension benefits and the same options that you did previously. It's just now you also have that Alpha pension available to you in addition as well. Thank you, John.
Thanks, Catherine. Okay, I'm going to finish off with a couple of questions looking at the tools and resources that are available to anyone affected by remedy. Chris, I'm going to come to you on this one, and it is, how do I find out if or how I'm affected?
Thanks, John. Well, hopefully giving you a flavour of that with the information we've all given you today. But just to reiterate that the Am I Affected tool on the website will absolutely help sort you out in terms of are you affected or not or impacted in any way. And then I think Catherine just mentioned about the key dates being the 31st of March 2012 and the 1st of April 2015. If you were in the scheme on both of those dates, it's really very likely that you will be impacted in some way.
Thank you, Chris. It's really helpful. I think that we've probably got time for maybe one more question. Ian, I'm going to come to you on this one, and it is, I found out that I'm affected and wish to know how this will reflect on my pension estimate. Am I able to calculate this, and how?
So I think if you're very good with maths and know pensions very well, you can probably sit there and spend a few hours doing a calculation to give you a rough estimate. For most people, though, what we're doing is introducing a remedy modeler. This will give a much more bespoke estimate, so it will be based on your own figures and will give you a really good idea of what you're entitled to. So I'd say have a look out for that when it comes, and that will be the tool really for you to do those estimates if you don't want to sit there with a pen and paper for a few hours.
Thank you, Ian. That's great. Well, unfortunately, that's all the time we have today for questions. Thank you very much to our panel. That was a bit of a whistle-stop tour, but thank you very much. We got through quite a few. Please don't worry if you missed anything. These sessions are being recorded and will be available to watch again on catch up on the scheme website. We will email you to let you know when those sessions are available, so do look out for that. Before we wrap up today's session, we're going to have a quick look at the result of our final poll. And we asked which describes you best, and I can tell you that 32% are planning to retire shortly after October 23, 48% of you not looking to retire just yet, 15% planning to retire before October 2023, and 6% partially retired. So looking at those, I'm hopeful that we've helped a lot of people today who are potentially planning to retire before October 2023. Okay. So today's session is drawing to a close, and there's not much left for me to do other than to thank our panel. So thank you very much to our panel of experts, and thank you to joining us today. It is greatly appreciated, and I hope that you've enjoyed it and learned a lot. Before we go, I would like to talk a little bit more about Pensionpower, which we've sort of mentioned earlier on. Pensionpower is a free award-winning training session that explains your pension in 1 hour. It is delivered as an online webinar, and it's run by Catherine and her team of pension experts. It will provide you with all the information you need about the scheme, and it is also very useful if you're looking to understand how the 2015 remedy affects you. If you haven't attended a Pensionpower, I would recommend that you do so. It is a great way to learn about your pension, and to date, over 100,000 members have attended a Pensionpower session. However, if you're still not convinced, just listen to what Louise Ibbotson, HR Manager for DWP, had to say about Pensionpower and why it's hugely beneficial to both members and employers. Let's take a look at that now.
Firstly, I would like to say that it's great Cabinet Office are funding these free sessions to our members right across the board. I personally feel over the last few years we have really engaged more than ever, especially when it comes to members understanding their pensions. Pensionpower is an opportunity for members to feel supported. It also includes all our new joiners and allows the younger generation to engage at an early stage. I would like to say thank you to all the members who have attended and supported Pensionpower. When I first started my role, I always remember someone saying to me, "Louise, make sure you understand your pension. Think about the future and ask yourself one question. What is my salary when I retire?"
Thank you, Louise. So if you are interested in attending Pensionpower, you can book a session by visiting the scheme website and searching for Pensionpower. Finally, I just wanted to also mention the brand new Civil Service Pensions podcast. For those of you who don't know, Series 1 is out now and it has something for everyone. There's a Pensions 101 episode, an episode on life events, which covers how having children, getting married or divorced can affect your pension. And there's obviously a retirement episode. You can download it on any major podcast platform. Simply search for Civil Service Pensions Podcast. You can also access it at civilservicepensionscheme.org.uk/podcast. Please do remember to subscribe to be notified about future episodes, as we've got some great episodes dropping in season 2. Well, sadly, our time is now up, but thank you again for joining us. As mentioned earlier, please let us know what you thought about today's session by completing the short survey that we will email to you later on today. Thank you very much for joining us and enjoy the rest of your day. From everybody here, goodbye.